Well, that's the last of the Mario Kart DLC until the rest of it releases. Now what am I supposed to do until the rest of the DLC comes out? Here we go! It doesn't work. I've been collecting both video games and Hot Wheels for years now, but I never thought to combine the two hobbies until recently. And I don't mean collecting Hot Wheels based on video games. I mean collecting every single Hot Wheels video game out there. And what better time than now with a brand new Hot Wheels game released recently. But before we begin, I want to mention that there are dozens of PC games. So many, in fact, that I feel like they deserve their own video, with the exception of one. For now, we'll be focusing on games that released on consoles and handhelds, starting with Hot Wheels on the Commodore 64. Okay, this is the only game that I have not collected, nor do I want to, for two reasons. Number one, I don't have a Commodore 64. Number two, I am not willing to pay that much money for an old computer just to play this. I know it's not really fair to criticize an old game like this, since gaming back in 1985 was so limited, but this is not what I would want from the first Hot Wheels video game. I keep looking at the footage for this game, and other than the title screen, nothing about this indicates that this is even a Hot Wheels game. You'd think they would have the Hot Wheels logo plastered everywhere, but nope. Makes me wonder if this game was originally just a car simulator that they decided to attach the Hot Wheels name to make it sell better. One compliment I would like to give this game is the graphics remind me of those city play rugs. I certainly used to play with Hot Wheels on one of those as a kid. And whenever I play with Hot Wheels in real life, do you know what I do with them most of the time? I race them! In this game, not much racing is going on here as far as I can tell. And that's a shame because another Hot Wheels video game wouldn't be made until over a decade later. If you were a fan of Hot Wheels in the late 1980s and early 90s and wanted to play with them virtually, you were out of luck. Which brings us to the late 90s when we got the next game on our list, which I'm sure some people from that time remember, Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver on PC. I played this game quite a bit as a kid, and I enjoyed it then. Although you don't actually race against other cars, instead you're racing against the clock. But the game is still fun. There are three modes: Championship, Practice, and Custom. In Championship mode, you have to make it to the end of 6 different tracks before time runs out. As you race through the track, you can perform stunts while in the air, which counts towards your score at the end. And you have to land perfectly for the stunts to count. When you complete a track, you unlock a new car. I believe you can also unlock more cars by achieving higher scores, but I've only managed to do that with one car so far. Practice mode simply gives you all the time in the world to finish a course without penalty. And Custom mode allows you to build your own tracks and race on them, which is pretty cool. However, it is a pretty limited course editor, especially by today's standards. You can pretty much only build a basic flat circuit, and you can't even have very big jumps that give you enough distance to perform crazy stunts. Like, come on, I can only catch some air for 1 second. As much as I like this game, I'm starting to get flashbacks to when I played this as a kid and having a really difficult time trying to get to the end of the final course and always running out of time just as I come around the last turn, which I'm still struggling with now. So, let's move on before I lose my mind. Okay, now we can officially start talking about the console games, starting with Hot Wheels Turbo Racing on PS1. Well, this is a Hot Wheels racing game on PS1, alright. Even though I never played this as a kid, I'm still getting a weird nostalgic feeling. I guess I do have a little nostalgia for old arcade racing games from the 90s, despite not playing many of them. This game is pretty simple at its core. You race Hot Wheels through tracks with different environments, all of which have shortcuts to discover, and there's a decent variety of cars to unlock. I like how the announcer guy says the name of each car.
Street Rider, way too fast. Diora, evil weevil.
And like in Stunt Track Driver, you can even perform stunts when you're airborne, and if you make a successful landing, you'll gain some turbo boost. I think the only thing I kinda don't like about this game is that to unlock some of the cars, you have to find them in hidden areas in some of the tracks, and I don't have the patience for that right now. If there was a free roam mode that allowed me to explore the courses freely, then I would probably do that. But you have to discover these as you're racing while trying to get and hold first place, and that just feels tedious for me. But if turbo racing isn't extreme enough for you, then maybe you should try Extreme Racing on PS1 instead. Oh boy, this box art alone looks pretty extreme. So let's see how extreme this game actually is. Oh, you race Hot Wheels while you shoot missiles at each other. There's a variety of weapons to obtain as you race, and depending on which part of the course you're on, you'll switch from a kart to a speedboat or a jet, which is pretty neat, but they look kinda ridiculous. They're just Hot Wheels with wings and pontoons glued on, and even the car mode looks a bit weird. They're just regular Hot Wheels with bigger wheels, and they all have these weird cannon things on their side. But what about the actual gameplay? To be honest, I don't really like this game. First off, the controls feel stiff. Driving on the ground and flying through the air feels sluggish, but for some reason, racing on water feels really fast. As you race, you'll see these skull things that you have to avoid because if you hit one, your armor durability decreases by 90% and Jabba the Hutt laughs at you. The only good thing I can say about this game is that it does look technically better than Turbo Racing, but I'd rather play that game over this. If I really wanted to play an arcade racer with the ability to transform into a speedboat and aircraft vehicle, I would much rather play Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. In fact, that game has some Hot Wheels content of its own, but later on that. Now we jump from the PS1 to the GameCube with Velocity X. I was surprised to see this game has an adventure mode. The story is nothing to write home about. It's basically something out of an episode of Speed Racer.
Go Speed Racer!
But it's nice to have a goal to work towards. And each mission changes things up frequently. You're either having a race with someone, racing against the clock, or even having a fight to the death. Okay, maybe not to the death, but you definitely annihilate their car. Pro tip, unlock the Diora 2 and equip it with an armor repair to beat the final boss. You unlock more cars and gadgets by completing missions in Adventure Mode, completing challenges in Challenge Mode, or by exploring areas in Joyride Mode. Yeah, instead of tracks, you have these fully explorable environments jammed with secret areas to discover. And I found this game to be decently challenging even on Easy Mode. Velocity X is actually a decent game. However, I don't think I can recommend the GameCube version, because 3 of the unlockable cars can only be unlocked by connecting a Game Boy Advance with the GBA version of Velocity X. That may seem a little cool at first, but all 3 of these cars are available from the get-go on the PS2 and Xbox versions. And the GBA version is not good anyway, but we'll get to that. Gee, I wish there was some way to know I'm the greatest driver in the world.
Greetings. Because of your extraordinary abilities, you have been chosen to take part in the world race.
2003 was the 35th anniversary of Hot Wheels. To celebrate, they released a special lineup of 35 cars called the Highway 35 series, which were featured in an animated series/movie called Hot Wheels World Race. Would I recommend watching that movie? Well, that depends on if you're into cheesy, low-budget 2000s animated kid shows about cars, because that's what it is. How about the video game adaptation? I'm not sure, actually. It runs well, I like the tracks, and there's a good variety of cool Hot Wheels to drive. Although they seem to have replaced all the real-world cars from the movie with original Hot Wheels vehicles, most likely because they couldn't or didn't want to pay the licensing rights to have those cars in the game. Now that I think about it, I don't think any of the Hot Wheels games have licensed cars except for Unleashed. Anyway, in World Race there are 2 ways to gain boost. The first is by collecting Sonic the Hedgehog's gold rings. The other is by performing stunts while in the air and making a successful landing, just like in Turbo Racing. And I say successful in heavy quotes because sometimes you can land on your head and it'll still count. But you can't perform the exact same stunt twice in a row or else the game will call you out for being stale like an old Dorito. At its core, it's mostly racing. There is a challenge mode, but it's more like a tutorial. The first challenge has you collect rings and use your boost. The second has you boost on ramps to get on the higher platforms. The third has you do a successful stunt. The fourth has you perform a successful stunt combo. And the fifth has you handbrake on corners and get a red wheel to unlock a force field. These are all done in just a couple minutes, basically showing you the ropes of the gameplay. In the single player mode, you can do a quick race, time trial, or league, which is how you unlock more tracks and some cars. But here's the problem with doing a league. There are 3 of them: Rookie, Veteran, and Elite. You have to unlock Veteran by playing through Rookie, and you have to unlock Elite by playing Veteran. The Rookie League has 6 races, okay? After you complete Rookie and move on to Veteran, which has 10 races, you have to race through the same first 6 tracks from Rookie plus an additional 4 new tracks. And then in Elite League, which has 15 races, you have to race again through the same first 10 tracks from Silver plus another 5 new tracks. That is 30 races in total you have to complete just to unlock all the tracks, 6 of which you repeat 3 times and another 4 which you repeat 2 times. To make things worse, you have a limited amount of restarts that decrease with each league, and if you run out of retries and don't make the cut to progress to the next race, you'll have to reset your game system so you don't have to start the entire league over.
Bummer.
Yes, it's nice that you can save your progress each time you finish a race and continue your current league if you turn the game off, but still, that's a whole process, especially if you're trying to play through the whole game in one go or two like I did for this video. I felt really burnt out by the end. Yeah, I know I didn't have to complete this game, but considering that it's mostly just racing and not other kinds of tedious challenges to beat the main game, I thought, why not? Which is probably why I didn't want to finish Stunt Track Challenge on the PS2. I don't think the game is bad, I just didn't want to go through all of these frequently changing challenges. To put it simply, you're a contestant participating in a game show called Stunt Track Challenge, in which you do various challenges with Hot Wheels. From racing, to time trials, to breaking as many boxes as you can while trying not to fall off the platforms and landing on the highest goal platform at the end before time runs out. Yeah, it's a lot! I would like to keep playing this game, but I'm just not in the mood to keep going. Sorry. Man, that game sure had me pretty beat.
Hot Wheels! Beat that!
This game is awesome. Like, really awesome. For starters, you have this banging music track for the main menu. And this looks really good on the Xbox 360. It's also available on the Wii and PS2, but if you want the definitive experience with Beat That, the Xbox 360 version is the way to go. While Velocity X, World Race, and Stunt Track Challenge go for more realism, Beat That goes back to things being toys in the house, like in Stunt Track Driver. There are a lot of interesting environments to unlock as you progress, and they change up the challenges between 3-lap races, elimination races, and most interestingly, Rampage, in which you are given 3 missiles at a time and you must hit a certain number of other cars before time runs out. It's not very difficult at all, but that's where secondary goals come into play. In order to unlock more events, you need to obtain a certain amount of flames by completing goals. The primary goal is to complete and come out on top in the event. The secondary goals are other things that can be done while racing, like hitting an opponent with a certain power-up, earning a certain amount of points in a certain way, winning the event with a certain vehicle, and much more. And there are plenty of really cool cars to choose from. Unfortunately, there are no upgrades or visual customizations, which would have made this game that much more awesome. Does anyone remember the show Hot Wheels Battle Force 5? I do. It was an animated series that aired starting in 2009 on Cartoon Network in the US and on Teletoon in Canada. I really enjoyed the show back then. In fact, I have both complete seasons on DVD. And like World Race, a video game based on the show was made. And like the show, I think it's the most unique thing amongst Hot Wheels media. You have 5 vehicles to control, and each of them have a pair of unique attacks. And you're placed in battle zones with missions to complete while fighting off alien robots and mutant furries. Of course, in true licensed game for the Wii fashion, this game is far from great. It can often be a bit wonky, and not every vehicle feels good to control, the chopper being my least favorite of the 5. I feel like this game's biggest crime is that it does not have a reverse button. Often I'll hit a wall and basically be stuck there. I mean, you can go in reverse, but to do that, you have to pan the camera with the control stick, which also controls the steering, and then hold down the acceleration button to back up, which is not intuitive. And the devs must have thought the same thing because you can respawn your car with the minus button at any time. There are only 2 modes to play, story and multiplayer. The story is pretty easy and short, just a couple of hours or so. I haven't touched the multiplayer, but I imagine there is some fun to be had with it. Battle Force 5 is not perfect, but it is special enough to give it a go, and I would recommend checking out the show. I think it deserves more attention than it ever received during its run. If you want to get any kind of context before playing this, I'd suggest you watch the first 2 episodes of the first season, but you don't have to. I'm not gonna Battle Force you. Oh no, it's a truck attack! Ah! Oh wait. Hot Wheels Track Attack is a Hot Wheels racing game on the Wii. That's it. It doesn't get any more basic than that. You can only play with tilt motion controls, and you unlock more cars and tracks as you win races and complete challenges. You can build tracks by drawing with the Wii remote pointer, but there isn't much else to it. That's all there is to this game. There's literally nothing else I can say about it. Wii U. This is frankly the most boring Hot Wheels video game ever. Back when I got an original 2DS back in 2015, this was the very first game that I got for that system. I finished all of the challenges in 1 week and never picked it up again. And playing the Wii U version now feels no different. After you select a team color and a vehicle, you are placed in an empty and pointless hub world. Yes, it is kind of fun to drive around the facility, but there's nothing out here. At least you can do this. The challenges are just bleh. You have to achieve a certain number of medals to unlock more challenges, but I really don't want to because these challenges aren't fun. There isn't even a multiplayer mode. I don't recommend the world's best driver because it is just flat out boring. Also, it's anti-environmentalism. We're literally polluting the ocean. Have you no shame? And that's kinda sad because this is the last Hot Wheels game we got on consoles for 8 years. But we're not going to talk about Unleashed just yet. Right now, I'm going to show you guys the games that are available on handheld systems. There is only one PC game that has a handheld counterpart, that being Stunt Track Driver on the Game Boy Color. Obviously, this is different from the PC version. Here, it's from a side perspective, and you are actually racing against other cars, which I think is pretty neat. Starting out, it is a bit challenging since it's a side-scroller racer, so it's harder to know how the track goes, but of course the more you play it, the more you memorize the course, and the more likely you are to win. And like with most Hot Wheels games, you increase your chances of winning by performing stunts and sticking the landing. Stunt Track Driver GBZ is okay actually. In fact, it's a little like the Hot Wheels Race Off mobile game. What's that weird chemical smell? Ah! It's my Hot Wheels Burnin Rubber on my Game Boy Advance. Burnin Rubber on the GBA is good? Yeah, I actually really like this one. Yes, it is simple in its design, but I actually like it like that. Once you get the hang of it, it feels good to control. There are little shortcuts to take on the tracks, one of which is shaped like a piano. And the icing on the cake, you can customize and upgrade your vehicles. It isn't super in-depth, you just change the colors and that's it, but you can spend the money you earn from winning races to upgrade your cars into the best racing machines ever. Seriously, I can't express how much I like this. If you're searching for GBA exclusives, keep your eye out for this one. Although, I am disappointed to say that the rest of the Hot Wheels games on GBA are nowhere near as good as Burnin Rubber. First, there's Velocity X. In this version, you play as the robot Gearhead instead of Max, the cutscenes look like they were drawn on Microsoft Paint by a 6-year-old, and the gameplay is in an isometric perspective. I guess I have a love-hate relationship with isometric racing games. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. And in this case, I don't. I mean, it's not absolutely terrible. Initially, I thought I just had to steer by pressing left or right on the D-pad, but actually you have to point your car in the direction you want by pressing that direction on the D-pad. Example, if you need to go northwest, you press up and left, and so on for the other directions. And for a GBA game, that works decently well. But at the end of the day, this game isn't very good. Then there's World Race and Stunt Track Challenge, which, as you can see here, are available on one cartridge together. Yeah, some of these Hot Wheels GBA games can be found in double packs. World Race GBA is just a watered down version of the console version with fewer tracks and cars. Stunt Track Challenge GBA is also basically the same thing, but you may notice that it is kind of impressive on a technical level because it's one of the few GBA games that renders 3D graphics. Then we come to Hot Wheels All Out, another GBA exclusive. Is this just as good as Burnin Rubber? No, it's an isometric game like Velocity X, but you steer by just tapping left and right, which makes it more difficult to control in my opinion. And in this game, you don't run over the old lady runs over you. Hey, I'm walking here! Thankfully, we eventually did get another good Hot Wheels game on a handheld. Ultimate Racing exclusive to the PlayStation Portable. I love this game. Initially, I was unsure about this game because I heard that it was brutally difficult, and it seemed to be that way at first. Like, I couldn't catch up with the rest of the field and came in dead last. But once I adapted to the controls, it was a piece of cake, especially due to the fact you can upgrade and customize your cars. Don't get me wrong, it may get easier, but you still have to be focused because these tracks have little hazards that you must evade. If you get past them successfully, you'll be rewarded with either nitro boost refill or a lap time decrease. I love this game so much, and it's basically the reason I own a PSP. And then we come to the DS era, but it's barely worth mentioning because while there are only 3 games, they're all just DS games of console games. Beat That, Battle Force 5, and Track Attack. And they're all mostly the same game as their console counterparts. The only reasons that you would want to play these games is so that you can play them with regular controls and on the go. Although I will say that creating tracks in Track Attack is much easier drawing on the DS touchscreen. Oddly, the DS version of Battle Force 5 has a couple things over the Wii version, including a reverse button and the ability to swap between the 5 vehicles almost anytime you want. You couldn't do that at all in the Wii version. You were automatically assigned a specific car for every scenario in each mission. So yeah, maybe give this one a shot, but fair warning, it is kinda buggy. You might recall that I mentioned there being a 3DS version of World's Best Driver, but it's barely worth mentioning also because it's exactly the same as the Wii U version, but with worse graphics. After World's Best Driver in 2013, we didn't get a dedicated Hot Wheels console game for a while, but we did get a handful of mobile games and Hot Wheels content in other games, like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. This came out in 2012, but I'm still talking about it anyway. One of the playable characters in that game is a real-life former Indy NASCAR race driver, Danica Patrick. And the car she drives in the game is a Hot Wheels car that she actually helped design, and it's got
6-wheel drive.
And apparently when this game first launched, if you bought it at GameStop, they gave out a real die-cast Hot Wheels toy of that car. Here it is right here. Then there are some games that got Hot Wheels DLC, most notably Forza Horizon 3, which added a whole island covered in orange Hot Wheels track, Rocket League, which not only gave us some Hot Wheels cars to play in-game, but also granted us Hot Wheels collectors this awesome Rocket League 5-pack, and Beach Buggy Racing 2? Alright. There's even a Hot Wheels plug-and-play system, and it's just the GBA version of Velocity X with significantly less content, only 3 courses and 4 cars. Including shipping, I paid $28 for that thing, brand new on eBay, while I paid $3 for this tiny little cartridge at a game store. This is my life as a video game collector. Finally, we come to Hot Wheels Unleashed, released in September 2021. And I can easily say that this is one of the best Hot Wheels games, if not the best of all time. First off, just look at it. Milestone, a developer that mostly works on racing games, has perfected the toy look. Everything looks like they're real Hot Wheels toys on my TV screen. Until now, I've had to improvise. And there never has been such a huge variety of cars to choose from original Hot Wheels classics to cars from popular movies and shows. You've got a livery editor where people have been able to make some amazing pieces of art for us to download and equip to our sweet rides. And we finally have a fully realized track builder. While I personally haven't dived too deep into this feature, it's just awesome to have this. Our tracks can be whatever we want and we can share them online. But of course, let's not forget the most important thing. Is this game fun to play? Yes, it is. It feels super fast, super good to make perfect turns, and it's fun figuring out which car suits your playstyle. Fully upgraded Superman is statistically the best car in the game. Not only does this game look good, it runs smooth like butter. Except for the Switch version, which I played initially. It works, but the coloring in this version is darker and can be hard to see sometimes. The resolution is a bit rough, and it runs at 30 FPS, if not lower, when there are a ton of things going on at once. So if you really care about graphical fidelity and performance, get it on anything other than Switch, which is why I picked up the
Challenge accepted
edition for the PS5, which includes an exclusive edition Bone Shaker Hot Wheels, a double-sided poster, and a steel bookcase containing the game disc, and a download code for the Street Beast pack. Since this game has released, we have gotten 2 season passes, which gives us a bunch of new cars, including some cars from World Race and even Acceleracers, which was a follow-up series to World Race that, spoiler alert, ended on a cliffhanger that never got resolved for some reason, and strangely, this series never got its own video game adaptation. So, I guess they're kinda making up for it now. So in conclusion, these are my top 5 recommendations. Burnin Rubber, Battle Force 5, Ultimate Racing, Beat That, and Unleashed. And that's it. That's all the Hot Wheels video games. Except for the PC ones. I really did want to talk about those, but there are so many of them, I feel like they need to have their own video in the future. So if you want to see part 2, subscribe and tap that notification bell. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go put my toys away or my mom will ground me.